The SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rangers Assessment right here on SM Media. You'll look at all things Rangers, and where do we even start tonight, ladies and gentlemen? I am Scott McPike. It's always a delight to be your host. This is turning into a therapy session for me. It's just a case
Yeah.
of let's just rant for an hour because that's what I feel I'm going to do. We've got an all-star panel tonight. It's a pleasure as always to welcome by first of all Scott Young.
Yeah, I was going to say it's always a pleasure, but I don't know at this point. I don't know at this point. I don't know any at this point.
And we thought as well the last time we had a three-man panel, things were looking very rosy. Oh my, how things have changed. It is a pleasure to welcome back onto the show from every other Saturday, Jack Hamilton.
Aye, cheers for having
Pleasure,
us on
innit?
again. Aye, it's a pleasure to get into this.
We did not
Right,
just plan
Jack, what
this
did you
immediately.
do that made him invite you on this?
I know, must be some sort of ritual.
To be fair, when I asked you, it looked as if we were at least getting to an appointment. And
Yeah.
now we're literally recording this about 10 minutes after Chris Jack has put up in the Rangers review that the Kevin Muscat will not become the new head coach of Rangers after talks between the Australian and the Ibrox hierarchy broke down at the 11th hour. This has been whispered most of today, as we record this on Sunday, so it's not exactly something that we're surprised to hear because it's been kind of in the rumour all day. Jack, basically, we were going to start this podcast just talking about the kind of past 2 weeks and how the managerial chase or whatever the managerial recruitment process has been a shit show, to be honest. That's the best word for it. This is now getting to the stage of, it's by the circus stage. It's getting to the stage now where you are just generally thinking, are we a failed club? That's
Yeah.
genuinely where I'm at. I don't think now, how on earth have you managed to have three managers pretty much signed and sealed, and then at the 11th hour, something changes? Because that's what it's like. That's what it's been. It's a mess. It's worse than a mess. It's a complete calamity.
Yeah, I just don't even really understand how we've deserved this. To be honest with you, it's just pain all the time. I mean, what we're sitting here 2 weeks on since Russell Martin gets
Two
sacked
week,
and
2 weeks
escorted.
almost to the 2 weeks almost to the minute.
2 weeks today, aye.
Aye, so we're 2 weeks on for then. We've had Gerrard flying over for Bahrain to have talks in London, breakdown. Danny Rowe publicly distanced himself for the job, and now, about 10 minutes ago, Kevin Muscat also do the same. It just seems to always point to the same two people. We're always talking about the same two guys on the board, and it's Kevin Thelwell and it's Patrick Stewart, and those two guys need to be immediately removed for the position for what this has turned into in the last couple of weeks. I mean, it was already a disaster for the start of this season. Pointing Russell Martin, some of the deals that get sanctioned, some of the people that ended up leaving the club and whatever else. This has just been an absolute nightmare a season so far, and it doesn't appear to be getting any better. We're now going into a game against Bran in the Europa League, where again, what really annoys me about this whole situation is if it was treated with a bit more care, a bit more just I don't know, less idiots involved in the actual process. We could be going into all these games with, I mean, Celtic getting beat today, Hearts are the ones to chase in the league. We could be doing something if we actually get a structure under place, and then same with Europa League as well. It's what we play for, and I don't know. It just seems like an absolute mess for us looking in, and I just really don't know how they get out of this. This time, really don't.
Scott, Jack brings up an interesting point there where the volume of blame seems to be going to two people, right? And I do think we will obviously touch on those two individuals because, I mean, their positions were untenable anyway before this, and it's just getting even worse. There's been a game at the weekend as well that we'll probably hardly cover, but this is ridiculous because it looks to me, from what I've heard, and again, people might have heard something different. I'm just going on by what I've been told that Thursday night this deal was done. Kevin Muscat was coming. Now we can get into the fact that he was coming on the 22nd of November, which I thought was a bit of a bin fire anyway, because this isn't a position where a manager can be told we're in no rush. Rangers are in a rush to appoint a head coach, right? Kavanagh flew back to America on the Thursday or Friday, and it was left in the hands of Thelwell and Stewart, and they were just basically just to talk with Muscats, get things in place, and we're now in the position on Sunday night where the talks have broken down. Where do we even go here?
that's the $1 million question. Like, where do we go? Well, Jack, I think the first thing we do is what Jack said: get they two as far away from football club as possible. They two, I mean Kevin Thirlwell, Patrick Stewart. To me, we had three managers on the table, and I'll get to them in a second. But we had three managers on the table, and they all take one look and I went, nah, no for me. You two are not for me.
But it seems
And
as
to
if they've
me,
got to
if
that
it's-
stage after speaking to it feels as if they've got to that stage once they speak. This feels as if they get to they like what they hear from Kavanagh and Marathi or whoever's doing that side of it. And then when they get to the kind of second stage, which is dealing with Thelwell and Stewart, they're like,
yeah,
nah,
that's
we're
what I'm
all right.
getting at. It's like
That's
Yeah.
I
the
don't
bit.
want what with it. Everyone's agreed with they two. The owners, I seem sound. Job's great. Get these two. Nah, I don't want what with you two. It's even three people.
Yeah.
Two very highly respected sort of greats of the recent game, Stephen Gerrard and Kevin Muscat, and obviously Danny Rowe, who's obviously a very highly rated coach. Three very intelligent people have looked at they two and went, nah, I don't want what with you two. That's red. That's warning signs for me if I'm Kavanagh looking at they two thinking, nah. And also, how they got to those three is baffling to me. I think I've said this to you off camera. It's like you couldn't pick three different managers you tried. So what the hell is the recruitment strategy when they got to those three names? It's like probably before, I was going to say after Russell Margaret sacked, probably before Russell Margaret sacked. They probably put a contingency plan in place.
Yeah, there
You're
should have been
probably
a
looking
list.
at attributes. You're probably looking at attributes that you want in your new manager. What the hell was on that list of attributes that got you to Steven Gerrard? That to me is just chucking shit I won't see what stuck when it came to picking three candidates. There's no plan in place of what you want the future of Rangers Football Club to look like. It's just three names out of hat essentially at this point. There's no similarities in any three of them.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I think they had their eggs in the Gerrard basket. That went well to a degree. Then it got to this stage, and they didn't get Gerrard and moved on. And it felt as if to me, Danny Rowe was like, do you know how you've always got your first guy? I kind of do and can have experience in recruitment in the past, and one thing you've always been told is have your backup plan. And it always felt to me that Danny Rowe was their backup plan until I think he realised that I'm nobody's backup plan. I can get a job anywhere. I could realistically get a better job than Rangers at this point. So why am I a backup plan? Then they throw their eggs in the Kevin Muscat basket. And it feels as if that's going to happen. I don't think that Rangers at this point can afford to have a coach coming in on the 22nd of November, when by then you could potentially be further behind Hearts and Celtic in the league, be out of the League Cup and be out of Europe by then, because you really could be, because they could lose the Brandon Roma game and be realistically out of Europe. I don't think Rangers can afford to wait, but this board seemed to be of the opinion they could have waited to the 22nd of November. We saw yesterday, this is a mess in every single capacity. This football club has been broken for a while. It's now at the point where I just think is it beyond repair? Is it just every single thing that can go wrong is going wrong? Because people have said, are they doing this on purpose? I don't think they're good enough to do this on purpose. This is just calamity by accident all the time.
Yeah, I mean, any single problem that they could have really made for themselves, they've made this season. Um, when going to the three managers and how different they all are, I think the fans and all of us kind of thought, right, Gerrard would have been the guy to come in and kind of steady the ship. The fans would get on board, and we would maybe see him as the guy again. Danny Rowe, I don't think anybody really, as soon as that kind of conversation came up, I don't think anybody was, well, I'll take Danny Rowe over Gerrard. I think everybody was kind of just hurt by Gerrard not moving to the club. And then obviously Kevin Muscat tonight as well would have been a good appointment for the club. But we're now back at the drawing board again. It now feels like all of these guys had capabilities and credentials to why they could have been Rangers head coach, of course. But Gerrard and Muscat particularly being kind of two kind of hot-headed, very opinionated men coming in there and working with Kevin Thelwell and immediately saying no. Does that mean the next guy that comes in is going to be a yes man type of guy that's willing to work with those guys to get his foot in the door at Rangers? it stinks at the moment. It's stunk all season at boardroom level with the way that it's been ran, the way that Russell Martin continued to keep getting absolute dogs abuse at every game, and they didn't decide to put him out of a job quicker. I just don't know how this gets any better. Of course, we all wanted to start with the removal of Russell Martin. That's happened 2 weeks ago, and we're in an even like worse position at the moment. It just feels like we're getting publicly humiliated by everybody that's been in for the job, and they need to appoint somebody. Need to appoint somebody quick, but that guy's going to be under so much pressure already. No matter who it is.
The problem is as well though is that he's publicly fourth choice. Like if if you've publicly had three people turn this down, and now we don't know the absolute specifics, but we've got our theories, we've got our opinions. The thing that's really bugging me is that they're coming out and saying it's not the right. What is it? It's not the right time. The timing isn't right. Sorry,
3 folk have said the timing issue.
Right, Gerrard, the timing wouldn't have been an issue because he's travelled to come to talk. So he must have had an interest. And Danny Rowe, there was a chat saying he was publicly interested in the job. Kevin Muscat is desperate for the job. We know this. He's been desperate for the job for years. Scott, how do you get to a stage where you've now had 3 people publicly turn the job down, or not? We're now being told aren't getting the job concrete. Like, to me, it just feels this absolute shambles. If you're a football manager, right, and you're looking at Rangers Football Club at the moment. This is a club who've sacked the last 4 managers, okay, after about a year or just under a year in charge, all right, whatever way you look at it. Round about the kind of, between 3 months and a year, they've sacked managers, round about the same time. Managers will be looking at Rangers going, you might get a good compensation package if you're at the club, but your reputation will also be in tatters. Beale hasn't recovered. Clement hasn't went back into management. Martin will struggle to get another job, and you're seeing Giovanni Van Bronckhorst assistant. He's assistant at Liverpool and he's quite happy. What manager's going to take the risk now and look at this and go, I can do well there?
The only thing I can think, if some managers might look at it, I can be the guy that turns it around. If someone's got the balls enough to go, I can be the guy to turn this around. But if you look at the list of names that were linked, I don't think any of them have got that kind of personality. Guys like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Danny Rowe's favourite again, by the way. Danny Rowe's favourite again, just looking at the recent market.
I highly doubt that's happening. I'd take Danny Rowe at the moment. I'd take anyone at the moment. Guys like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Gary O'Neill, Michael Carrick. Who else is linked? Middlesbrough manager Rob Edwards. I look at these guys and think, they don't fit. They don't pass the personality test for me. Some are good coaches, but you need to have a certain personality to be a Rangers manager. And none of the guys pass the test for me. Pass the test of thinking, oh, I can be the guy that turns this shit show football club around.
So we're just getting more information. So this is from Andy Newport, the record. So club understood to have concerns over a delayed start date despite talks reaching advanced stage. Manager hunt goes on with multiple candidates still in the running. Now, Jack, that sentence alone just makes me think that is not true, because we knew there was going to be a delayed start. The club said they were willing to wait. We'd heard that. There was people. That
came from Rangers trying to save face. That's what I'm reading from that.
Right, again though, they've tried to save face again with it's not the right. The timing isn't right. Why is Gerrard coming to England if the timing isn't right? Why is Danny Rowe in the running if the timing? Why is it getting to that stage with Danny Rowe if the timing isn't right? This to me, and again, we know who's to blame, right? And we'll get into that. But to me, the Americans have to, from where we were at in the summer, the goodwill, just the excitement of the new owners, Jack, to get to this point now where I'm just generally at the point where I just cannot deal with this anymore. I can't deal with this constant embarrassment with this club. That's where we're at. Like, to get from that to that in the space of 4 months is horrendous. Like, you thought this was over.
Yeah, it's just like you're not even talking about on the field half the time anymore. It's like out with what Rangers actually do as a football team half the time, and that's when you know you're just in an absolute messy situation. There was so much optimism. I think people could forgive last season a wee bit because of this coming up and thinking, right, we'll get the right guy in, we've got an actual proper structure as a club for once, a forward-thinking identity, and we've won one league game and just in general don't look up to the task with the recruitment of the players in the summer either, with the recruitment of guys in senior positions as well. It just always keeps driving back to the same people. You look at all those issues being Muscat, he can't start till then, Danny Rowe, timing's not right. It all keeps pointing back to the same people that are getting involved with the deal at an advanced stage. I really don't know how Rangers recover for this. I don't know how Rangers then appoint a head coach and then come out publicly to the fans and then tout him as though he's the guy like to take Rangers forward after he's very notably fourth or fifth or sixth or wherever they are down on this list now. It's a dangerous proposition that we're in. We've got a yes man now going to be coming into the club by all accounts. Working with these guys, people don't want to work with them, so it's a big inkling of who comes in next. But I really can't believe we're not even at Halloween already, and I'm terrified.
Scott, I want to go to something that was put in the statement by Parag Marathi and Andrew Kavanagh not long after. Was that? I think this was not long after the sacking of Russell Martin, because it was
This was the day after.
It was the day after. Just one of the lines that was said on it. It said, "We know you are frustrated. We are too. We did not get this right, and it's our responsibility to fix it and get us back on track." Now, I don't know if Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marathi are the reason that the three managers who we've kind of we've accepted are probably coming in and then they're not. But if it's not them, they have to step in and go, why are these guys not taking this job? And that reason for that, we have to remove that. Now, Kevin Thelwell today, we were ready with a podcast prepared. We were going to go to town on Kevin Thelwell. And there was a thing going about earlier with just a kind of list of things that have happened under his watch. Recruitment, as Jack mentioned, bringing in his son, bringing in his pal from Everton to be head of recruitment. We were already at the stage to get him out the door because he's been here 4 months and it's been an absolute shambles. Patrick Stewart hasn't impressed me in the slightest, even before these new guys come in, because he was here. He came the day after the Celtic Cup final, which was nearly a year ago.
Aye.
His 10 months have been a shambles. These two guys are not fit for purpose and they have to be removed. I feel they are. What it looks to me is that these two guys are the reason. Their vision of the club is the reason these Muscat, Rowe, and Gerrard, Muscat and Gerrard, I think definitely, they're the reason they're not coming to the club.
Well, that kind of touches what Jack said. It's like they're not Gerrard and Muscat are not yes men. They're far from yes men, and that's what Thelma wants. Russell Martin's a yes man. That's why he got the job over someone like Ancelotti, because Ancelotti wanted to come in and rip up the entire squad, and Russell Martin came in and
The
went,
squad
nah,
was ripped up.
No, Ancelotti can't. No, but Russell Martin thought, no, I can get a tune out of Tav, I can get a tune out of Barami, I can get a tune out of Dessers, I can get a tune out of him, and him. Ancelotti went, no, I want every set. Ancelotti wanted a lot of the first team sold, and the board went, nah, I don't think we could do that. Let's get Russell Martin in because Russell Martin's less work and he would agree with us more. So let's go with him instead. And that's what they got, and that's the position we're in. We've won one league game, and it's Halloween in a week. And we have it. Last time we won a home league game was the 15th of May.
But again, that goes back to what is this? Why are we in this position? Like, Jack, when we got to this stage, obviously with Russell Martin, we were very much of the opinion of this. We worry about this. We'll convince ourselves that it's going to work, and you convince yourself it's going to work, and then when you see the evidence that it isn't going to work, you end up being frustrated with yourself because you've told yourself you're wrong, but you're secretly thinking, I was right here, and I'm not going to change my mind. Martin, to me, for Thelwell especially, was someone who he could hide behind in terms of criticism. That's gone now. There's no manager. Stephen Smith doesn't deserve any criticism for yesterday. That's all on those two, as we saw in the crowd. They are right to voice their frustration. Go back to the protests with the Hibs game. Thelwell wasn't mentioned. Like, we have the reasons now, and again, it's up to Cavan and Marathi. To me, that this is all on them. This is all on Thirlwell and Stewart. It can only be fixed if those two aren't there.
Yep. Well, you look at it, even when the both of them came into the club, the deal was signed. Like Thirlwell and Patrick Stewart would have been the guys that are in charge of the day-to-day runnings of Rangers Football Club. So every single disaster and failure has to then go and point right on their doorstep. Of course, Andrew Kavanagh, 49ers, whoever else is involved, will come and they'll speak to the fans when they need to speak to them. That's why they put out that statement after Russell Martin's sacking when they had to make a decision finally. But I mean, like everything just goes back and it points to Kevin Thirlwell. I mean, as you say there, he wasn't even involved. He was obviously spoke about in these protests, but it was more against Russell Martin than Patrick Stewart over a month ago. And now, as you say, he's not got that guy to hide behind. The scrutiny is only getting ramped up. I think even with his son coming in and guys for Everton coming in and taking positions on the board and recruitment team and everything, it just stinks the use of Shamiti signing. I mean, just going to ruin that guy's career and all probably for that signing, bringing him here. The option not to sign a left back permanently after selling like 2 or 3 left backs in the summer is crazy. So I mean, you take the stuff on the field and then it's just an absolute riot. And if I'm in a position at a job and I perform that poorly for 4 months, I'm probably writings on the wall. I'm getting removed. So it should be the same for Kevin Thirlwell. I mean, Patrick Stewart said how long ago at it. He's overseen 2 sackings now. He publicly came out and said, no, Clement is the guy. Sacked him a week later. Kevin Thirlwell came out in the international break. Oh no, Russell Martin's one of the best coaches I've worked with. A month later, he's sacked. So these guys don't actually have an idea of what they want the vision of Rangers Football Club to actually be. It doesn't feel like they understand the supporters. It doesn't feel like they kind of understand where to take this club, and they don't have the capabilities to do that, and it won't get better under their watch. So the easiest and quickest thing to do is stop backing these guys over managers that are willing to come and improve Rangers as a team on the pitch, because that's ultimately what matters. Guys on the board and that can come and go, and these two have to go.
Well, Scott, this should be a job that especially if you're out of work, this should be a job that any manager should be licking their chops about. And the fact that, I mean, Thirlwell, just a few things that we're going about today, like as Jack mentioned, selling all your left backs and replacing them with Magoma, not bringing in someone of experience in that position. I mean, Magoma already, and when in October looks as if he's been played too much. How much they spent on Fernandes, and he's not even anywhere to be seen. The Chermiti deal was said at the time. Everybody said, you cannot do this. You cannot spend £8 million on a player who's scored 3 goals in 3 years, hasn't really played much. And I mean, yesterday, I thought you can see a little bit of what he can do, but he's not the guy Rangers need at this moment in time. I think we all know that. And then the whammy bringing in your son to head recruitment, and it's just all these things, and you're like, this is the sort of thing you would see. You would see this at you would see this at terrible run clubs, and I've tried for years to say I don't think this has been run terribly. I just think certain people have just hit their ceiling, and I thought when the new owners came in, I thought that at least that's fixed. At least there's guys here who are clever and know what they're doing, and they'll hire the right people. And who hired
If he'd only
Thirlwell?
made one of those decisions, it wouldn't look great. See if he'd only hired his son, but everyone else was fine. Everything, oh, he's hired his son, that's not great. See if he'd just spent £8 million on a striker, but everything else was alright, folk would think, why spent £8 million on a striker? If he'd only not signed any left backs, folks like, why do you not sign a left back? But all of these, he's done all of them, and he's not. I can't think of a single positive decision Kevin Thirlwell made in his 4 months here.
Well, you talked about the squad. You talked about the squad rebuild. Do you think the squad's better than it was last season? And last season it was a shambles.
Aye. Even sacking Russell Martin, which was the right decision, it was the right decision a month and a half too late. He should have gone after that 0-0 against Celtic. And then especially should have been after the Hearts game. And then Levy, Levy, Sturm Graz. He should have gone after all these games, but he didn't. They waited until They had an international break. They wait until the international breaks. Right, we've got 2 weeks to find a new manager here. And what have they done in those 2 weeks? Got rejected twice. Finally found a guy, and then got rejected by him and all. And we're stuck with a B team coach taking. We're probably stuck with a B team coach taking a Europa League game on Thursday.
I was going to come to that though. The B team, like Stephen Smith's press conference yesterday, Jack, he didn't have a clue what was happening. He didn't have a clue. He said he was taking training today. That's it. That's all he knew. Like that's the Rangers have lost their first 2 European games. I would say they need to win this to give me a chance of staying in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be that disorganised, and like we can take the kind of humour out of it as well. Like Stephen Smith's not wearing a suit. Stephen Smith should never be in that position. And Stephen Smith's a very respected coach and someone that I know is a Rangers man. He should never be in that position. But again, that is just mismanagement and bad organisation that we thought we weren't going to get when these new guys come in.
Yeah, I think it's just been a domino effect really since Stephen Smith said he's going to take the team into the game. He was in the press conference. I think Friday, obviously, Shanghai Port were playing. I think everybody kind of had their eyes on that game. We're probably a bit excited about the way it ended up going for Muscat's side. Then after that, it went really quiet. I thought the day as well, even sitting there, I'm like, this has went all really quiet. Let's check Twitter and see what the latest is. And obviously, you see the bombshell getting dropped through the daily record and that, and then Chris Jack is doing that as well. So I go back to even like the European games already this season. Genk at home, Sturm Graz away. But the last 5 years worth of managers would all have been able to beat those sides pretty comfortably and leave us in a good position in Europe already, probably. We've got Bran away, another one you would really be licking your lips at, being like, right, 3 points, get over there, get a result. I mean, European football used to be the football that would kind of take our mind off.
That was the escape, yeah. That's what I said after Sturm Graz. That was the escape. It was, no matter how bad it was domestically, at least you would have kind of some European nights that would just get you back.
Yeah, and you could maybe use those to kind of fire you up for the weekend, whatever else, and what was coming. But that isn't happening either. I think the fans that go over in their numbers, and I respect them for doing so, over all these places, Thelwell and Stewart will find that out pretty quickly on Thursday when they find themselves in Norway in a hotel room getting absolutely lambasted off Rangers fans again, because that's the only thing I can see happening at the moment.
That's the thing though, like it's the fan base. I mean, the fan base were very toxic towards Martin Wright, and it was a bit. I thought I think we all thought it shouldn't get to that stage. We don't like the fact it's got to that stage. What is it going to be like now? Because that, and again, some other news just coming in as well. This is coming to me as we speak. Rangers sources said the Muscat deal broke down as he wouldn't leave immediately. Muscat camp saying he had told them that from the start, and it was because he didn't like having no control over recruitment. Up to you who you choose to believe. That's going about.
I think there's only one of them I'm believing, and spoiler, it's not the Rangers sources.
But again, that to me, like, there's sources saying, I think there's a Chris Jack report saying Rangers are in no rush for Muscat to come. They're willing to wait until the Chinese season. Muscat, to me, shouldn't hold the cards here, right? And I'm not getting at Kevin Muscat for this. Kevin Muscat should have been told, this job is yours, you have to come now. Kevin Muscat will probably be like, I want to stay here, I want to do this job, and I really want the Rangers job after it, right? Kevin Muscat shouldn't have that choice. And that's not me being harsh on Kevin Muscat. Rangers should be holding a nerve and going, we need you now. We need you urgently. This job is available now. If you don't get it, you're not coming, right? I don't believe that's happened. Because why would that not have been said last week?
I kind of disagree with you on that one. I would much rather have a manager who's willing to see out a title race than a manager who's willing to leave with 4 games to go.
What if he doesn't win the title though?
When he's made a deposit, then that's on him. But to me,
but imagine that
I would still.
I don't want
the manager of Rangers Football Club be willing to leave a title race with 4 games to go. So I didn't like Gerrard leaving a title race in November. So who am I now to say Kevin Muscat just leave your title race with 4 games to go? I don't want that mentality, or I don't want the mentality of a Rangers manager being, I can walk away from a title race 4 games to go.
The point I'm more getting at though is that Rangers aren't in a position to allow somebody to wait because of how Rangers have only won one of their first 8 league games. Rangers are not in a position to allow somebody to wait. It's either you're coming in now or you're not coming at all. And
I
if
think if
Rangers
Muscat was first choice, we would have went, "You're coming now, we're leaving." But because I think we're actually that
that's what I'm
desperate.
saying. He's
That's
not
why
first.
we said to them.
It's not first
That's
choice.
why we said to them, right, you can see your full game because we are that desperate
Yes.
we were that desperate for the manager.
And that leads to the question: is where do we go from here? If the third choice, who is kind of held Rangers under a barrel a bit, is now no longer coming. Who's looking? If you're a fourth choice for something, are you absolutely sold that that's where you want to be? If you've seen the reason that other guys have gone is because they don't like the model, as you say, it is going to be a yes man, and how long is that going to last? Because to me, Stuart and Thirlwell's positions are untenable. Then you've got a guy there who's their yes man who might not click with the other people, the new guys coming in. This is This is an absolute
just
shambles.
the whole way that it's went. Even if you wait until November, there's big games obviously coming up until then. I don't. As a club, we're in a position, as you say, to wait to November with one league win for a manager. Whether that is the right guy or not, we'll never know now. But so many big games in between. Then you get to the end of November, he needs to implement his style. The players need to learn this and that, and then you're going through the same motions as you do with everybody else. Like, I think that's why Gerrard made a lot of sense at the time. He would come in, he would kind of get to work, and that would be that. And you would hope. I just really don't see where they go now. To Muscat would appease the fans probably a wee bit. I think after Gerrard and the disappointment of that, I think everybody was kind of on board with Muscat, the style of play, the guy that he is. But now we sit in a position where like there's none of the names are out there anymore. It's kind of like going down the list, as Scott was saying, like, who are these guys? Did they get the credentials to be Rangers manager? They're just, again, people that I don't think have the figurehead ability to be that guy at Rangers.
I want to bring up that figurehead point because I saw stuff going out that Rangers absolutely need that Walter Smith figure. I don't necessarily think they do, but what they do need is somebody who the fans can buy into. And Gerrard fit that. Gerrard fit that model of it was good when he was here. He was the guy we could get behind. We loved him as a manager. Danny Rowe, I don't think would have been that. I think Danny Rowe's a terrific coach. Danny Rowe would have been more of the Russell Martin model. Now he probably would have done better than Russell Martin because he has. I think he's a better coach than Russell Martin. Kevin Muscat.
Couldn't have done much worse.
Kevin Muscat was the one I was like, is that the best you can go for? The best person is somebody who wasn't quite as good as Clement 2 years ago. Now let me just explain what I mean by that. I think Kevin Muscat was very high on people's list because they thought he would do for Rangers what Ange would do for Celtic. And I don't think you can absolutely make that comparison yet because I don't think they're the same type of. I just think that was like a lot of people's mindset, and I just don't know if that was necessary. I think Muscat is more of a fan led thing, but it was more like hope over expectation kind of thing. I don't think there was an absolute body of work where you could look at Muscat and go, he's absolutely the right guy. He'll come here and transform Rangers the way Ange did for Celtic. I don't think that was going to happen. And let's not kid ourselves here. Ange was mocked when he came to Celtic. Ange wasn't the first choice, as we remember. And I just, that to me, that's just a wee kind of gripe of mine. But as you point out, he was an ex-player. I know he was only here a year. He was an ex-player. He has that kind of mindset you would like. I just don't look. I'll look at the list of what we've had, and I just go, I don't really know who is going to galvanise the support because this support is at the lowest of the low. I generally can't remember a support this angry since 2012. And I really do think that because the one thing that got you through the kind of bad times after that was there would always be a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if there is. I don't see it. As we've said, what is there to be positive about at the moment?
I think the frustration more, rather than just from the last 4 months, I think it comes back to Seville. I saw someone say Rangers went to Seville and never came back, and I couldn't think of a more accurate statement. You had the wee spell under Clement where we're going for league title, and then we get beat by Motherwell at home, and then we drew with Celtic, and it's kind of felt. Then I remember the peak of the frustration being at that point. I think it's just been a build-up over the last 3 years, this anger towards. Because then we thought in the summer, when they get the new owners and everything, oh, it's class, it'll be great now. And it's just back to what it was. We had a small sort of peak in the summer, and it's gone back to the anger and frustration it was ruined about this time last year, if we're honest. when I think we obviously get put out by Kiev, and then the Queen's Park thing, and then Barry. I think they appointed Barry just to try and appease the fan base, and that kind of worked, but kind of didn't. And now I'm on Bet365 now, and I don't really see where we're going here. That Steven Gerrard's now setting favourite on Bet365, which isn't happening.
That's the
Top
thing,
two
though.
on
The only way
Bet365.
it's happening, the only way it's happening is if you sack Farewell and Stewart, and is that happening? Like,
No. That's the big thing we've got to look at now. It's staring them in the face what to do. It's like staring them right there. Like they'll obviously know they'll have meetings on Monday morning. Where did this go wrong? What's happening here? They're in constant dialogue, so they'll know exactly what is going on and what's happening. The heads have to roll for this situation over the past 2 weeks. Rangers have actually been made look like an absolute embarrassment for 2 weeks over all courses of the
that's the
media, and
thing.
it's
That's
just
the thing. I obviously I speak to a lot of kind of fans of other clubs and even a few like, English fans as well. Rangers are the laughing stock at the moment. Like they have been for a long time, but even so tonight, like about folk in my work group chat just laughing at us and saying how bad this is. Like, and that's again, let's not forget that we're recording this a day after Celtic have lost 2-0 to Dundee, and somehow Rangers fans are feeling worse. Like that's what we need to get into. That's what we need to look into here. Is that no matter how bad things get, well, like Rangers should not be in this position, right? But I just don't. I just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. When's the AGM? The start of December.
That's gonna
be. What is that going to be like? Especially if Stuart and Farewell are still there.
I think it could be just anger.
I talk about the sacking Farewell and Stuart. If you sack Farewell and Stuart, let's say sack them both tomorrow. Does that mean we're waiting another month for a manager? If you sack them both tomorrow, you probably need to hire a director of football before you hire a manager. So does that mean we're waiting another month, 6 weeks? Is Stevie Smith football? So what happens if you do sack? Let's say tomorrow you sack Farewell and Stuart. What happens after that? You probably need to hire a director of football before a manager.
But we've been here before, though. We've been here, like, what do you mean, with a chief executive that left for 6 months and there was no replacement? Do you know what I mean? Like,
we had a manager at that point.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Wilson left.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
Ross
always
Wilson left for Forest, and that led Michael Beale to the recruitment, and look how that turned up.
Yeah, and then they had Clement as a kind of figurehead of the club, and he just clearly was not ready for it, and then it led to Bennett Bennett doing interviews that he wasn't capable of doing. Like, I honestly don't know. I'm never lost for words, and I'm generally at the point where I just can't believe this. I wasn't completely sold in Muscat, but I was like, right, okay, I can kind of see it, I can get behind it, and now I'm just like, even if Muscat's not coming, and I'm not being disrespectful there, it's just like, how desperate has he been for the job, though? Like, how desperate has he been? We've heard through people how desperate he was for the job when Clement had it. How on earth? It must be horrendous. What are they being told? Are they being told, we're buying you the players? Who's coming into that? I know there's coaches that will get into that and allow that. That shouldn't happen at Rangers, because you can't just, as we've seen in the summer, you can't just sign 21-year-old flair players. You need something a bit more, especially mentality wise.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack, I looked at the team yesterday, especially when they went 2-1 down. I thought, like, how on earth have you managed that after the first half we saw? Because I thought first half, we were joking about it. I thought first half Rangers, it was best we've seen in a long time. But then just at 1-0 up at half time, they just come out and just are passive as if the game's by.
Yeah, and that's been a constant problem with Rangers for years. It's been only able to play for 45 minutes, whether that be the first or second half. I can't remember the last time I saw Rangers play well for 90 minutes, just at that same level as the first half, because I thought the first half yesterday was really good, a really good level, lots of chances, really good tempo for the get-go, great goal for Asgard, and we could have built for there, but again, we don't take the chances to see the teams off, and that's where Dundee United have a team of men, a team of actual seasoned professionals, whereas Rangers, as Ali McCoy has said before, just have a team of kids. It's guys going out there in the first 45 minutes and just playing like it's a game in the park, and then it comes to the nitty gritty to see the game over the line, and they just completely game passes them by. Of course, the two Dundee United goals were out of a top draw. Sybil's strike was a cracker. I think it was Trapanovsky as well, for Dundee United. So there were two great goals. You can't really do much about them, but in terms of like the actual attitude, the mentality, again, we're going back to that statement. Probably the only true statement Russell Martin ever said about this group of players was the mentality is just on the floor, and we seen that again yesterday. It felt like me going to that game. It felt like I kind of this is the season starting now. I felt like I could never really judge any of those players that came in. I know Mikey Moore was getting a lot of criticism, Asgard for the way he was playing. Obviously, everybody else that's came in as well. But it felt like yesterday, right? I'm going to this game, and it feels like the first game of the season. It feels like we haven't even got started yet. And the first 45 minutes kind of felt like that. Felt like players going out to prove themselves, and then the second 45 was just reverting back to old ways. We have a 33-year-old, 34-year-old James Tavernier digging us out a hole again and not getting beat. And it just points more problems now, even at the players. You thought even when a manager goes, you could write, we've got some decent players here. I thought to myself, like, Gassama showed some promise. You at least get Raskin in there. You've got Miofsky, who can score goals in Scotland. And the second half yesterday was just an absolute calamity, really.
Scott, that was the thing as well yesterday. It's like, how many times do we do this to ourselves? I was watching the first half going, surely they just go and take about 3 or 4 off in Day United because they looked capable. And then you're just like, about 70 minutes, I actually went out of just a message and missed like 10 minutes and didn't have a signal, come back, it was 2-1. I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Why did I put myself in this happy position and this like confident? I'm like, that right, we're turning a corner. And then within 10 minutes, you're just back to square one. It's just, it just feels like this merry-go-round of pish. Like, I think that's the name of the pod, merry-go-round of pish. That's it.
You know what, like, to me, like, I blame one man for yesterday more than anyone, and that's Russell Martin. And the reason I say that, I genuinely think we are I don't know if this makes sense. We're the unfittest team in the league. We are so unbelievably unfit. Guys were blown out their arse after like 50 minutes. And Russell Martin's talking in the summer, all this buzzword pish about playing under progressive overload, and I think it's just words that he doesn't even know what they mean, just sound smart. We looked so unfit. And Stevie Smith, as we've said before, anyone who blames Stevie Smith for yesterday needs shot.
I don't think there is. I don't think there is, Smith, to be fair. I don't think there is.
I believe there is. There's some of my pals, and I told them to shut up. Like what we thought, but
there's people. How can you look at yesterday and go that's Stevie Smith's fault? He said, what, 1-2 sessions after that?
He said something to do with the subs, and also he started Rothwell. I just thought Rothwell was decent for the first half. Yeah, I see some folk blame Stevie Smith, and Stevie Smith doesn't have any of the blame for yesterday. You can blame mentality. Jack Burton's presser. If you haven't seen Jack Burton's presser, watch it.
How many times has he said that though? How many times has he said, like, if he's saying that in a press conference, is he not saying it in the dressing room? And if he's not saying
definitely.
Right. But again, if he's saying it that many times in a dressing room, he's got to look at himself and going, nothing I'm saying in there's making any difference. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not getting at Jack Butland here. If Jack Butland's saying that, I'd imagine it's true. But how many times do you have to say something like that to a team before you realise, nothing's getting through to them? That's beyond help. Because that's what it feels like to me. Like, how can you have mentality issues with a completely new squad? Like, I was reading a thing the other day, and it's like, we're talking about Hearts at the moment. Hearts are not just buying players or signing players based on their football skills. They're basing them on their personality, and they're basing it on, we saw it with Brighton. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of model. How are Rangers not at that stage? How are Rangers bringing it? It just feels as if it was a Kevin Thelwell kind of file of facts that we were looking at. That's what it feels like. But we've been here with Ross Wilson. We've been here with Mark Allen. How many times do they have to get it through their heads that bulk buying players from the Championship doesn't work? You can have 1 or 2 in one squad. You can't have 7 or 8.
I think we signed 13 players in the summer. and 3 of them weren't from England, and one of those 3 was Miofsky, who used to play in Scotland. The other 2 were Ant-Man and Cornelius is on their loan. So I don't know if, but the rest of them are all signed for the Premier League B teams or the Championship. I could probably count on one hand how many players we've signed in the last 10 years for the Championship have been good.
There's talent there, but you can't just, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we spoke a lot on the show about how the defence, like, there's no long-term planning with the defence. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if Cornelius is like, I don't really want to go there in the summer. Like, and then you've got literally no defenders there. Like Fernandez, I'm not saying Fernandez is the answer, but why are you spending £3.5 million on a project player and then he's not even in the squad? Like, things like that.
You just keep listing problem after
That's the
It's just
thing. That's the thing, and that's where I'm at the stage of this is just therapy to me, because these are stuff I say to people and they're like, "Is it that bad?" I'm like, "Yes," and they can't believe it. This is fans of clubs. I spoke to a Hamilton fan yesterday. That's how bad this is getting. I spoke to a Hamilton fan yesterday, and it's well documented the problems they're having off the park. And the one thing he said that stuck out to me was, "On a Saturday though, all their problems go away because we're decent to watch." And I'm like, "How on earth is that? How on earth is that where we're at now?" Hamilton fans are saying that, and again, no disrespect. How can it be like this? Like, and you can argue if Muscat was the answer or not, but it's just I just feel as if we're at the bottom of the barrel. Like, can it
it's never get lower than this, is it? It's just at the very lowest point. I think we spoke earlier about, like, in terms of, like, anger and pastimes and that. Even getting beat at home at Queen's Park wasn't this much anger over the past 4 months. It's just been a knock on effect, I think. I think everything that's happened in the summer and the way the results have went, the Russell Martin appointment, Farewell, everything, it's
That's the
just
thing. You could lose
everyone's
to
in
Queens
one.
Park. You could lose to Queens Park on the Sunday and like go to Fenerbahce away on the Thursday, and you're like, I fancy us here. I don't feel that now.
Aye,
I don't feel going to Bran on Thursday, and I don't think Bran are that good and getting
don't know
anything.
anything about them.
But I just feel I think it's very, very dangerous if we are doing a managerial recruitment process and we're saying to a new manager, you're coming into this job, but you're not going to have the power to bring in your own players. I don't think that method works. I don't think that really happens anywhere else. I don't believe that happens, and you're just getting players. We're seeing on our side of the city where, like, they're not. You see the state they're in because some of the players they're bringing in that the manager doesn't look to be having a say in. Like, it doesn't work, does it? Like,
The only club I can think off the top of my head that does this kind of model is Chelsea. And they're a bin fire off the park. They're decent on it, but they're just. I was looking at their squad yesterday, and it's crap. Chelsea squad isn't great. They
is there
spent £2 million.
is there anything to be positive about? Like, I mean, the kind of listeners, that this is quite late on a Sunday night. Is there anything we can give the listeners to kind of give them something to be bright about? Because I've got nothing.
Can it get worse?
Like, can it? Can it not? We said that. We said that
I
2
said
weeks
that
ago.
2 weeks ago, and it's got to this point. There's literally nothing. We're on the floor. We're just looking for something now to
But
just climb on
it's
it.
that thing of you've had 3 managers, and for one reason or another, they're not coming. How do you then go to a fourth guy that you've maybe spoke to before and said, "Oh, by the way, we're not"? I know what happens, right? But if you've had 3 and it's just so publicly messy, and you're seeing I'd imagine managerial prospects will be looking at social media because they will, and they'll look at this fan base and go, "I'm in a hiding to nothing here," because you're coming in, as you say, you're coming in at the moment. How many points? 13 points behind, 12 points behind Hearts. Now I'm not necessarily sure Hearts will keep this going, but you're still a fair bit behind Celtic, and they're a bin fire. Like 9 points for 8 league games, 2 defeats in Europe, a semi-final against Celtic that I don't think any Rangers fan realistically. I know Celtic aren't good, but you can't get into that with any confidence at the moment.
Could get football shut down that game, actually.
Aye, like that'll be the first time.
That might be the worst game in football
I
history.
generally think that attendance could be like 5 people. Like,
See,
realistically,
I think we should just not play that game and just go straight to penalties.
Aye, and everybody just misses. Just keeps going on and
Aye.
on.
But
If you don't laugh, you cry on it.
it is
No,
that
no.
bad. It is that bad though. But any bright
The
points?
best
Anything?
case scenario I can think of is the Mora Thela gets sacked and Tuesday Gerrard's appointed, but none of those things is going to happen. So there's no point in saying it.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. In terms of positivity, it's just people losing their job. That's it, really.
One
Aye.
thing I was going to ask though before like obviously this news came out, we've spoken about this a lot, Jack. Is the squad? Is there a squad to work with there? Is the squad better than we think it is at the moment, or does it need ripped up? Because I look at yesterday and I thought the likes of Ant Man, even Rothwell, Asgard, I thought there's something there. It's just can it be fine tuned to be a successful side?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think I'm of the same agreement with that. I thought Ant-Man was really, really good yesterday for the first half. Asgard kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck in the first and scored a really good goal. Could have had another one for a good save for the Dundee United goalie. Rothwell, I think, playing a wee bit further forward can actually do some good. The problems keep going back to the defence for me, and I think when Kevin
Yeah,
Farewell was brought in, obviously it was
Yeah.
a clean slate. He's putting his he's put in this position to get this team to where it has to be successful. I think he has also just like drastically failed on that part because if I look back to this point last season, we were talking about needing, I don't know, another right winger, maybe another striker. We had Dessers on the books, we had Egerman, we had Ridvan Yilmaz, we had Yefte, like loads of players that I maybe were being selfish at times, but were good enough for the time. They showed that in large parts of their Rangers career that they had at least something about them. Um, all the failures then pointed to the manager at those times, and we now find ourselves with one left back who is a 19-year-old prospect. We find ourselves with what two loanees at centre
he
half in Nasser Giga.
isn't even our prospect.
Yeah, not even our guy.
Aye.
We get rid of Robbie Fraser in the summer, who was our kind of prospect. You get Max Arns, who's publicly came out and said, "I can't handle the pressure and the mentality that's required by Rangers." And you look at John Souttar and James Tavernier; they're both going to be leaving if they don't sign contracts in the summer. So
And
you're literally
if
left
they
with
do
nobody.
sign new deals, I'll have serious reservation. Oh, I do anyway, but you
Hmm.
can't look at them and this Tavernier especially and think they deserve another year. Suter yesterday, I thought just the lack of concentration at times. Cornelius, I think maybe with somebody better alongside him will be fine. I thought Raskin, even though he had a poor game yesterday, I think he's much better in that sixth position where he can just dictate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Asgard, I think there's something to work with. Gisama will be a bit hot and cold, but I think
yeah.
when he's hot, he'll be on it. Miofsky, is he getting the service? Is he doing enough? Chermiti, when he come on, I think there's a raw talent there, but I just don't think it's going to work.
No,
I
not
just
for this
No,
moment
I
either
think
at Rangers.
the issue with Shamiti is not his fault.
no, it's
The issue
not.
with him is is the price tag.
Yeah, of
The price
course,
tag.
but that's
Because
what we
you could
said in the
Shamiti
summer.
could do Shamiti could score 10 to 15 goals. He probably won't, but he could score 10 to 15 goals this season and about a half decent return. But folk would look as a that's not the return of an £8 million striker.
But that's what I'm getting at. That's more the fact of the market Rangers looked at. Rangers looked in the Premier League market, but that's the going rate for that type of player because he is the definition of a project player. In the Premier League, you're going to be paying that for a striker. Do you know what I mean? And
Aye.
Rangers don't need that. Rangers can have a project striker, but a project striker to me for Rangers is getting somebody in Latvia, Lithuania, going to spend a million. Like an Igaman. Igaman's a perfect
Aye,
example of that.
Egerman's a perfect
How do you go
example.
from a project player like Igaman for what 1.7 from Morocco
Hmm.
to 8 million from Everton, and it's a project? Like,
That just shows you the kind of problem that you're in. Nils Coppin, I think we actually, the last time I was on with you, I spoke about him and just wasn't as bad as people kind of made out for me. I think he done a lot of good in his job. I think you're going to have some failures at Rangers, of course, with the demands, but I think getting rid of a guy that had obviously got his Morocco, Egeman from Morocco, gets Yefte for Brazil and all that, like just people that have generated cash into the club to replace him with Kevin Philwell and let that recruitment be that way, to me, I'm if I'm in Andrew Kavanagh's position, I'm like, right, am I really going to let this guy go and like spend money in January again after this?
I think
I
that's the
don't
thing,
know.
though. Is it a case of because they're absentee landlords, for lack of a better term, and I'm okay with that. I don't. necessarily mind if the owner is going to be absent. You have to have the people in the club running the day-to-day operations who are not only competent, but the fans can trust. And I don't have that at the moment. I don't trust. Do you know what I mean? Like Kavanagh and Marathi, to me, I think done the hard part of getting the manager, and then it's all went south when they've got to the second stage, which is meeting with the day-to-day people, because that's who they're going to be working with on a daily basis. Do you know what I mean? And Gerrard and Muscat, I've looked at and went, I'll pass. And Muscat's the one I was, because Gerrard I could understand to a degree maybe why he didn't take it, and maybe did feel that it just isn't the right time. Do you know what I mean? Like, he seems very happy in Bahrain for all reports. But I just didn't think Gerrard would come to these talks if he wasn't set on the job. And now I'm like, Gerrard and Muscat have not taken this job for the same reason.
Yep. Nothing else to say. Just genuine. That's it.
Sad state of affairs.
Right. Any positive news? Rangers, the women team won. Matt, anything?
11-0.
11-0, yeah. Just put Leanne Crichton in.
Can we get Leanne Crichton to manage the men's team?
I really think, though, I've said for a while, when I've said it on the pods, surely it can't get any worse. And every time I just keep getting disappointed.
Well, now at the stage where I genuinely actually cannot see how it gets any worse than this. Obviously, another manager might come around and reject us again. But apart from that, I mean, we've got a game on Thursday. We had another poor result at home, and we've still not got a manager after 2 weeks of searching. Like, when does this end? When does this pain end?
Yeah, so we'll wrap just with this question. I'm just going to ask the two of you, and obviously I'll give my say as well. Let's just say the three of us have the say. We take over from Thelwell and Stuart tomorrow. Is there a profile? Is there a manager at the moment who you would want? Now, let's not say Roland Gerrard. Let's just go up not include the three. Is there a fourth choice that we can go for and realistically get?
I think you might know my name in this. I've told you before. If Rangers want to turn the fans around, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah.
I would still 100% give the job to Rafa Benitez.
Got no bad shout, to be fair. No bad shout. In general, for me, I mean, even looking down the listings at the moment, I do think a Rangers manager has to be a strong man. I think he has to be somebody like the profiles in Muscat or Gerrard. By all accounts, they are two people that we won't get because of the way the club's run. Wouldn't mind a Frank Lampard situation now. He's not going to leave Coventry. Ange Postecoglou's in the rankings now. He's obviously lost his job. A Marco Rose or something like that. Aye, I don't. A Marco Rose or something like that, I think at the moment would be a strong appointment to make as a fullback. But I really don't see. I think the next manager at the moment will be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I just think everyone is pointing
that's the one. That's the one making waves, and then again, the link to Patrick Stewart seems to be the reason a lot of people are going for that. Is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the right type of?
No.
I know he's been at a big club at Man United. I don't think he's done terrible at Man United. Do you know what I mean? It was another.
I think he had a ceiling, and that ceiling was second place.
Yeah.
At Man United.
I mean,
the worst thing he done at Man United was sign Ronaldo to just stop him going to Man City.
I never ever thought I would say this, and again, it shows you where we're at. Just do whatever and just get McInnes in. I don't. I think he would. I think he would take it. I think if he was, I think he would take it. But again,
the other name that's been going about is Slaven Bilic.
Yeah,
I've seen that a few times as well.
Slaven Bilic had one good season. That was 10 years ago. The last season at Upton Park, we got like Pyatt, Lanzini, Martin Noble, Antonio was in it, Andy Carroll was in it. That was a great team. That was 10 years ago. And that's the last good season he had as a manager.
Right. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Guys, I want to say it's been a pleasure. It's always good to talk to the both of you, but I thought when I sent you this layout today, I thought this was actually going to be all right because I thought we would get a managerial appointment soon. But for some, it just doesn't get any worse. But
No.
guys, thank you very much. That was good.
Cheers for having
Good
us on.
discussion.
Hopefully,
Thanks to all the listeners. This is the closest I've ever been in a podcast to just get shutting up shop. But no, thank you very much, folks, and enjoy your night, whatever you do, and try not to think about Rangers too much.